ये मैटर जो मैं आपको बोलने जा रहा हूँ, आप इस मैटर को हमारे सॉफ्टवेयर पे टाइप करके आप अपनी मिस्टेक्स को जान सकते हैं और अपने शॉर्टहैंड को इम्प्रूव कर सकते हैं, जिसका लिंक मैंने अपने डिस्क्रिप्शन बॉक्स में दे दिया है।
Get ready. Start. The court held that if the tenant continues to remain in the rented premises even after the tenancy rights are extinguished, then the landlord would be entitled to receive compensation in the form of mean profit from the tenant. While the above stated position is generally accepted, it is also within the bounds of the law that a tenant who once entered the property in question lawfully continues in possession after his right to do so stands extinguished, is liable to compensate the landlord for such time period after the right of occupancy expires. The question that appeared before the Supreme Court was whether the tenant would be liable to pay compensation to the landlord in the form of mean profit when there was no eviction order against the tenant but continued to remain in the rented premise. Answering affirmatively, the judgment authored by Justice Sanjay Karol observed that the tenant would be liable to pay the mean profit to the landlord for the period he had been a tenant at suffering. Tenant at sufferance is a tenant who enters upon the land by lawful title but continues in possession after the title has ended. The court's observation drew support from its judgment of Indian Oil Corporation Limited versus Sudera Realty Private Limited 2022, where also it was observed that the tenant, while continuing in possession after the expiry of the lease, became liable to pay mean profits. In our considered view, the effect of the words determination, expiry, forfeiture, and termination would, subject to the facts applicable, be similar, that is, when any of these three words are applied to a lease, henceforth the right of the lessee stand extinguished or in certain cases metamorphosed into weaker iteration of their former selves. Therefore, in any of these situations, mean profit would be payable, the court observed. We may record a prima facie view that the respondent has, for the reasons yet undemonstrated, been delaying the payment of rent and other dues payable to the petitioner landlord. This denial of monetary benefits accruing from the property, when viewed in terms of the unchallenged market report forming part of the record, is undoubtedly substantial, and as such subject to just exceptions. We pass this order for deposit of the amount claimed by the petitioner to ensure complete justice inter se the parties, the court concluded. Having considered the submissions made across the bar, we note that the disputed nature of the lease deed, in other words, its continuation or forfeiture on account of non-payment, is heavily contested, and stemming therefrom, so is the nature of the payment to be made. We also note that the location of premises is in the heart of Kolkata, and if the submissions of the petitioner are to be believed, they have been deprived of rent for a considerable period of time. Taking a lock, stock, and barrel view of the present dispute, the averments and the documents placed before us, we may record a prima facie view.